get it.
Phone's on silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect anyone's going to call me, but you never know.
Well, you never know. We're live now, so maybe they might call you now. Now that they know that you're live. Where'd you go, Nathan? We're on.
Oh, I had to go plug my phone in, in case I get that important phone call.
Just in case. All righty. Well, we are now live, as the little notification has told us, with Leonard Takahashi and Nathan Outteridge from SailGP. Japan. We're live now, so maybe they might put that on in the background.
That's me. Sorry.
Children, eh? Seriously.
So we'll try again. So here we are with Leonard Takahashi and Nathan Outteridge on the LSD live sessions. Has told us, what are you doing? Is that you?
Not sorry. Carry on.
Is that you? Well, okay, I'm not going to try again with an introduction. So here we go. Hey guys, how are you?
How are?
Good, thanks.
I'm really hoping that you do the entire sequence of The Simpsons while you're sitting there. Can you go jump on the couch for us?
Well, I'm on now. I can't get quite on
now.
Your head's on the couch. Nice.
All right, guys, we're going to kick it off. We're going to play a little video from some of your amazing SailGP events that you guys have done. And there've been some pretty good ones. So we're going to watch the race day recap from Cows. What do you reckon? Get that underway?
Cows, yeah.
All righty.
Bit of action. Here we go.
Let's go. And feel free to make any comments through it. We will be able to hear you. So if if Jack, your child wakes up, Nathan, we'll probably be able to hear him in the background. Let's get started. And if anybody would like to ask any questions of these guys, get involved. We're here to interrogate these guys, have a bit of a giggle, but let's kick it off with watching race recap from Cows. Here we go. And play.
Yep. Keep it quick.
Is that the right video?
Ready to close.
Don't you love it?
How good is technology?
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing, and it's even better when it works.
I'm assuming my brother sent you that video, so maybe he sent you a dud file or something.
Oh no, he sent me some good ones. Let's go. I think they're just named wrong. Oh, let's just watch this.
Setting up here. My wing. Going forward. My right. Glide.
Good crowd there.
Slow glide.
Good time.
Coming across Aiden, your wheel. Pressing slowly. Stay with it, Leo. Okay, my right.
The boats are pretty noisy. I know we can't see them. I don't know. Can you guys see them? All I can hear is just air.
Getting
It's
one board
that
down.
screaming, it's that constant
My
scream.
right. 2, 1 board down. Okay, driving Aiden. My
Great
right.
audio.
Is it really that loud on board? Like it's just squealing?
Yeah, it's too loud.
Just gliding still. All right, guys. It's my mistake in the flight. We're sailing well.
What do I apologize for?
I don't know, you tell us. What were you apologizing for there?
I probably did something wrong. I usually seem to do something wrong.
So what is comms like on board? Nathan, from some of the videos that I've watched that Bo sent through today, is sort of, you seem quite relaxed and calm. I'm going to ask Len, is he always relaxed and calm when he's giving orders?
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't really find anyone else that's as relaxed as Nathan. If you see the America's Cup, there was all the heart rate monitors, and Nathan had some pretty low heart rates during all the racing.
Yeah, we did notice. That was an interesting little feature that was added, watching those heart rates.
That was pretty good.
Well, when you're driving the boat, you don't do anything physically. And
well, you're not doing much, are you?
No, just hold the wheel and you just turn it left and right, and everyone else does all the work. The heart rate really only gets up when you know you're about to crash, and there's nothing you can do about it because someone else is flying the boat, or you're mid maneuver and you don't have the wheel in your hand and you can feel it, you're about to crash. That's when your heart rate jumps. And obviously when you get into competition, your heart rate comes up as well because you're sort of in combat mode. But I don't know. I think I'm generally pretty calm on board, but that's probably because I've had a bit of experience and a bit of time. But I'm pretty sure if you got my heart rate from Sydney versus last season, it would have been a bit higher.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
The first ever event in Sydney, like that first one that you guys did, you've been in the boat all of what, 10 minutes, everybody?
No, I'm referring to this year when
Yeah.
Leo was flying the boat.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'd be interesting to see the different heart rates between last year, you crossing the boat when Parko was flying the boat, or this year when I was flying the boat and you're crossing the boat. It was a little bit more sketchier.
Well, what was sketchy, I think, was the first day in Sydney this year was the first time we'd used those small boards and small rudders. And so it was, we had, you know. I'm referring to this year when Leo was flying the boat.
Yeah, the
Leo, you keep watching the video back while we're doing this.
No, people are telling me to look at the comments.
Yeah, I'm looking at them. Don't you worry. A few people have asked what the beer count is.
The beer count?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's after dinner time.
Oh yeah, it is after dinner time.
Anyway, back to sailing.
We're professional athletes. We don't drink beer. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, 100%. I totally agree with you. Yeah. No, 0 beers during lockdown.
0 beers during lockdown.
Because we're so busy doing lots of other important things right now.
So obviously you're really busy making sure that you keep your fitness levels up. Is that right?
Yep. No, yeah, for sure.
Nathan's been sending me his running progress.
Well, because I live in Devonport, and you probably know, North Head and Mount Vic are the two peaks, and there's lots of different activities going on by people here. And, one of the challenges that was out there was you cycle up the mountain, and every day that goes past lockdown, you add another trip up the mountain. So, say it's day 10, you would have done 10 times up and down. Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. But I've seen other, athletes doing that. And I did a trip. I was riding up there the other day, up North Head, and I intended to do maybe like 2 or 3. And I bumped into Dan Slater and Antonio and a few other guys, sailors and athletes. And
obviously keeping your 2 meters social distancing, yeah?
Well, I was trying to get a rope to attach to them so they could tow me up the mountain about 2 meters in length. But yeah, I did about 10 with them because they were giving me a hard time because I wasn't really, they said just going up twice and then going up the other one twice doesn't count. So anyway, I think the most I've done is about 10 in one day. But that's my fitness regime. I do a cycle once a day and I go for a run every second day. But
because you said a little bit earlier that, there's not much strenuous activity when you're just steering one of those boats in the SailGP, right?
No, well, I think if the lockdown continues, I'll be the fittest I've been in my entire life.
You're saying that after you've done 2 Olympic campaigns, right?
Well, for all my Olympic sailing, and ask Goobs, ask Haley, ask Emmett, our coach, I honestly would avoid the gym like the plague. And or like COVID-19, I'd avoid the gym so badly, and all I would do is go on the water. And the only time I actually did some exercise was in the lead up to the China Olympics because we had to lose so much weight. And even then, I just avoided eating food so that I didn't have to go to the gym.
So your advice for kids then?
What's your advice to me?
Health and fitness?
Well, so long as the parents and coaches aren't listening, my advice is go sailing and don't go to the gym.
Right, you heard it here first. Sailing. So do you think that was the key in winning your first medal at the Olympics, just by going sailing?
Well, we definitely didn't win it by going to the gym. We won it by hours on the water, developing our sailing skills, developing the equipment and doing lots of racing and having good training partners. So, for that campaign, we spent a lot of time training in Australia, and Pete and Blair spent a lot of time training with us in Australia, and we selected the key events that we needed to perform well at for 4 years. And so basically, fundamentally, I think the training squad we had and the focus that we had, put us in really good shape.
Nice one. So Len, you're obviously the Olympics have been delayed. Back on the couch. Obviously, the Olympics have been delayed for you. You and Ibu were selected to represent Japan in the 49er. And I reckon you should probably use this opportunity right now. You know, you've got a gold and silver medalist, you know, sitting right here for the world to see. I reckon you just need to start opening up the questions. You know, what does it take to be a gold medalist? Clearly, no gym activity.
No gym, yeah. Being
All
pretty
right.
relaxed, I think, is what Nate's good at. So
Yeah.
take that away from him.
So Len, if you were going to ask anything, any advice of the guy sitting there, what would it be?
What would it be?
Let's keep this to on water performance.
On water. Well, I'm sure Nate's pretty good at some off-water activities.
When I was younger, perhaps. I'm too old these
When you were
days.
younger, yeah. I don't know.
It's quite funny that he doesn't have a question, because the whole time we're at SailGP events, he walks around with a notebook and just asking questions constantly.
Oh, really?
So maybe he's asked all the questions he needs to know.
Bit shy.
You're a bit shy.
No, it's you learn you learn a lot of from Nathan just being around him. Really, it's what I learned at SailGP. You kind of pick up a lot of stuff just by being in the environment. Especially last year when we were with, you know, Goobs and Parko. You just hang around those guys and you just pick a lot of stuff up. You don't have to necessarily.
So you're saying just being in their presence, you absorb their wisdom.
He really wants to keep his job, doesn't he?
He really does.
Yeah, especially through these tough times. That's job security is important.
Oh my goodness.
I want to ask us one question at least.
Come on, Len. Ask one question of Nathan.
Well, if you can tell me all your 49er settings, that'll be good.
Well, I can tell you in private, but I'm not going to tell you on this call, because I'm assuming there's an audience out there that would like to know that information also.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, there is
later tonight, and I'll pass them on for sure. I have a feeling that they might have been a little bit outdated over the holidays.
Yeah, they could be actually.
That was about 8 years ago. So
yeah, you probably want the settings from the gold medal, not the silver medal.
Maybe.
Well, the settings from the silver medal were the same as the ones from the gold medal. It's just that other people did a bit more development than us, I think.
When you say other people, are you referring to none other than Pete and Blair?
Well, they were the only ones who beat us there, yeah.
There you go. So maybe, Len, we'll ask the questions of Pete and Blair then. Maybe they might give you some tips.
Yeah, maybe.
You can always ask them. Now, we do have a couple of quick little questions that have come through. This one has come from Rachel, and it's her son who's asking the question. My son wonders, have they crashed? And when they did, what was the biggest one? Ooh. So I guess this could mean in any class. So, but, you know, maybe, I mean, SailGP is obviously going to be the most exciting, but what has been?
You want to start, buddy?
Most for me. Oh, I've had some pretty bad ones. Last year in Cowes was probably the worst one. I can bring the photo up. That was probably the worst one. I was in the middle of crossing the boat. We were going about probably 45 knots, and it was very lumpy. And it probably took me about 30 seconds to cross the boat because I was just so scared. It's probably the scariest I've ever been on a boat.
And how many times have you actually wet your pants on a SailGP boat?
Not yet. Wow. Haven't wet my pants yet.
Still got good bladder control. He's young.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe we should ask you that question then, Nathan.
Yeah. I'm still young as well, so I'm good. No, were you referring to the first jibe in that first race when we?
Yeah, that one.
We sent you and Goobs across the boat when we're doing 45 knots.
Yeah. I can hear in the comm units, Nathan. You know when Nathan Goobs are talking about safety and all that stuff. You know it's loose. That's my indication to take it slowly. So that was a bad one.
I think you were probably just happy that there's a handle on the wing, because it took you about 15 seconds to get from the cockpit to the wing, and then you held on to that for some time, and then eventually after the crash you decided to go to the leeward hull.
Yeah, it's my safe spot. I have two safe spots: the middle of the boat where I can hang on to something, and then the other side. So
you have a safe word as well?
No, I don't have a safe word. Nathan has a few safe words on board.
What's your safe words, Nathan?
I don't know. What are they? They probably just come out without me thinking about it.
Oh, he likes to say keep the rudders in quite a lot.
Yeah. No, that's been a new word this season, because you know, with Aiden, our new wing trimmer, and Leo now flying the boat, that they're very focused on maybe just their own area. And sometimes they focus on, well, Aiden often would focus on the leeward hull a bit too much. And I'd just be getting quite nervous when we're doing a reach and the windward rudder's like on the surface. And if you pop the rudder out, you have a big crash. And we had actually one in the very first practice race in Sydney where we're in like first or second, and it was only like 10, 12 knots. And we sort of came across a bunch of boats, and we went straight across the Australians to get in line to go around the mark. And at that moment, Aiden just had a cheeky look back, just to, you know, see how close we were to them. And I was like, keep the rudder. And before I could say it, the rudder pops out and we just did this massive nosedive in front of the whole fleet. And so that's my encouragement to Aiden to stay focused on keeping his own hull, you know, at the correct height. But it's quite hard when you're driving a boat and, you know, you've got two other people that are so important to keep it all going on track. And all I can do is go left and right, but on a reach, you just got to aim straight, and the boys have got to sort it out for you. So that's my safe word.
It was a long way to get there, but we got there.
Yeah, my crash was quite a big one. It was in Bermuda. I don't know if I'm sure a lot of people saw it, but when we ran over the umpire boat, when we were doing we weren't going that quick. We weren't foiling, but we were doing 15, 18 knots, and out of nowhere, an umpire boat came hurtling around the back of Softbank, and we ran straight over the top of that boat. And luckily, those two guys, the two umpires, were okay. But man, it was a good crash.
Have you ever, like, when you are going at these crazy speeds, I mean, what does that actual sensation feel like? I mean, yeah, sure, we can watch it and we can see the onboard footage, but behind the wheel and, you know, Len, with what you're doing on board as well, like, what does that speed actually feel like?
Well, think about it, for all the people that are watching now, maybe when the lockdown's done and you're on the motorway again, go around 90, 100 Ks per hour, stick your head out the window. Maybe on a rainy day, that'll be better as well. So that's probably what it feels like. Pretty accurate. That's why we wear goggles now. It's a necessity.
Ski goggles, I think,
it's extremely noisy. As you heard, the sound of the foils is so noisy. I remember, you know, the two things that I always think is, you know, it's incredibly noisy from the foils when you start going that fast. And when you're going upwind, it's also deafening, just the wind in your ears. And when we were with Artemis in Bermuda, we basically bought helicopter pilot noise cancelling headphones, strapped them to the helmets, switched them on with mics, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can hear everyone. Like I couldn't hear anyone before that. And you know, as soon as we switched to that, I could talk to Goobs the whole time. No worries. I could talk to guys in our chase boat. I could even talk to people in our team base while doing 40 knots around the bay there. Whereas now, SailGP setup is one earpiece only, and the other one is open. So it's back to terrifying noises again for me.
That's insane.
I used to go to bed with my ears still ringing, you know, like it's just so loud.
So like going to like a concert and, you know, like staying next to the speakers.
Yeah, I used to remember coming home and just saying, this is not sustainable to sail boats like this without, you know, proper ear protection. You know, SailGP, we're not sailing the boats that much every year, but, you know, we're only doing a handful of days at each event. But when you sail it 7 days a week, yeah, you definitely need to think about, can I still hear when I'm 50 years old?
That's not far away. So throw that one in. Hey, so Len, you're studying to become a pilot. Do you think that these skills are going to be transferable for SailGP?
So could you repeat the question?
You're studying to be a pilot, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So do you think that having the skills of a pilot will help you sail these boats? Because, I mean, they're part boat, part plane now anyway.
Yeah, we're flying most of the time. No, look, it's the pilot things have been really good. I go flying heaps with my dad because he's a keen pilot. So I've been taking the ground courses at the North Sherwood Club. We've been on Zoom for 3 weeks now. So it's been really good. we learn a lot about how the planes work, and it's pretty much the same stuff being the flight controller now. So it translates a heap. So
being flight controller on a plane and being flight controller on these boats, you're kind of like mixing your professional life now with that side, with this side.
Yeah. It's like a wing in the water and wing in the sky. It's pretty much the same thing. So, hopefully everyone's making use of their lockdown time. I don't know what Nathan's been doing, but
clearly he hasn't been running up North Head very much.
So I've been making use of my flight controller studies, and
I think if you had a one-year-old, you'd realize there's not a whole lot of free time.
Now, just speaking of that, as everyone sort of knows now, Nathan, you've decided to take up residence in New Zealand. And I mean, one must wonder why you've decided New Zealand. I mean, we can go to the obvious reason, but the other reason, are you trying to get an in with Team New Zealand by being located here?
No, I'll address your first question first. So my wife Emma is Kiwi. She grew up in New Zealand in Belmont. So we're on the North Shore. We're living in Devonport at the moment. And with regards to Team New Zealand, no, nothing official there at all. Nothing even in the works at all. I'd love to get a ride on one of the America's Cup boats, and I'd love to be involved in design and technology and development. But right now, none of those teams are doing anything at the moment. They're all sitting like we are. But it's the reason why we're here in New Zealand is that when the America's Cup ended in Bermuda, and the teams all finished up, it was the first time that Em and I had ever had to decide, well, where are we going to live? Because we would just go wherever the Cup went. And so we basically had two options, Australia and New Zealand. And we were really keen to start a family, and basically she has lots of friends here in New Zealand that have kids, and all my friends are all around the world. And in Wanji, I don't have that many friends there, and if I was traveling all the time, Em would end up being in Wanji with my family, which is great, but to be here with her friends and family, I think is nice. So we're here in Devonport. We've been running the cafe scene. And it's not a bad spot to hang out.
Cafe and coffee.
We're making our own coffee at the moment. The Nespresso machine's been working overtime, and I think if lockdown was to continue much longer, we'd have to go and buy a proper coffee machine, because it's just not quite cutting it.
I'm not sure a coffee machine is an essential item that we can shop for at the moment, though.
Well, that's what I thought too. But then Em's parents, who live in the Bay of Islands, their coffee machine broke, and they were able to order a new coffee machine and get it delivered to their house, because technically kitchen wares are essential items. So like they snuck in a new coffee machine last week, and when they told Em that, I'm like, oh great, we're going to be buying like a $500 like proper coffee machine now.
How much are you craving like a proper flat white?
I like coffee, but it's not something I'm craving. Emma, on the other hand, she is dying for a proper coffee. She doesn't think the way I make coffee is very good, and it's probably true. But I'm more dying to get back out on the water than anything else.
Yeah. So speaking of that, when we do get the opportunity to get out of this, so for those that are watching overseas or anything, New Zealand is still in level 4, which is full lockdown. And from midnight next Monday night, we get to go to level 3, which is basically the same, but just with a few more things opened up. But that means that we still can't go sailing. Apparently it's not deemed to be safe to go sailing when we're in level 3. So I think we have to wait till level 2.
Correct. However, you can go swimming, paddleboarding, surfing, and I saw you can also go windsurfing. So there's a few activities in there that I could probably do until we get back on our boats. And I don't really have, I got a moth here, but going sailing on a moth on your own in the Hauraki Gulf is actually probably very dangerous. So we won't be doing that until Coast Guard are back operating again anyway.
There you go. Hey, look, we've had a question come through from Mark Orams. Do you guys notice any difference in foil ventilation risk in colder water temperatures? If so, why does this occur?
All right, pilot.
I got no idea. I probably wouldn't be able to explain it well as well.
Well, here's your opportunity to use the words in your brain and try to explain it to people who want to know.
Can I pass? In my pilot class, they give us an opportunity to pass.
I don't want to know that you pass questions when you're training to be a pilot.
You have to get 80% of the test, so there's a little bit of leniency.
Surely when you fly planes, you go through different density of air and different temperatures in air. There must be something in your research, in your lessons, that talks about air temperature changes.
Oh, yeah. More humidity.
Really concerning me right now, Len. Just make sure I'm not on your plane.
More humidity equals less aircraft performance, is what I remember. Let me check my notes. I've got some here.
Okay. Nathan, can you answer that question?
Well, I don't have the textbook response, but I do know that when we were sailing, say, in San Francisco, which has the cold, dense water versus the water in Bermuda, the boat did perform differently. And, there's a difference between cavitation and ventilation, obviously. So cavitation is when the foil is boiling because of the water is boiling because of the friction. And the ventilation is just the air pockets, going either from the tip of the foil or from the vertical down. Because cavitation happens as a temperature, the colder water is actually, better for cavitation. But when it comes to ventilation, and I learned this a lot more in the moths, ventilation seems to happen a bit easier in the colder water than the warmer water. So, you want to go super fast, maybe cold water is okay. Maybe that's why we all were doing 50 knots in the Solent. But if you want to have a pleasant time going sailing, you always want to go in warm water, less crashes. And, if you fall overboard, which I have a habit of doing, it's not so bad.
So there you go, Len. You just learned something.
Learned something.
What did you learn? You just went and read your textbook. What does it say?
I didn't read it. No, I can't find it. But that makes sense though, because in flying, they said that when it's better to fly in colder temperatures because the air is more dense, so it's better airflow on the wings.
How far into your pilot studies are you, Len?
I'm about 6 hours in on the practical side of things, and then, I completed the classes, so I just got to get my exams. I don't know if I'm ready for the exams, but that's what we'll find out after lockdown.
Good stuff.
That makes sense. It's, colder air, more dense, better flow over the wings.
So for you guys, I mean, you've both been sailing an incredibly long time, and
Nathan.
Well, yeah, Nathan more, me probably more than Nathan as well. And so we've actually got these great little nuggets of fun stuff to show you here. I just want to bring up this photo.
Oh, lovely.
Which one can you see?
Oh, the picture of myself in a yellow life jacket.
What is that? Is that an Optimus?
That's an Optimus. That's my orange Learn to Sail boat.
Cool.
So Len, just tell us about this particular day. Do you remember this day?
Of course, I always remember that day. It was my first day ever sailing. Didn't look like I enjoyed it.
You look cold.
Yeah, it was the winter program at the Murray's Bay Sailing Club. I was 8 years old, I think. Great day.
What have you done to your knee there? You got a little Band-Aid on there. You okay?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, luckily, it's got the old waterproof bandage, so.
So this is the first time that you went sailing, is that right?
Yeah, first time at the Murray's Bay Sailing Club, the Learn to Sail program.
And so, just so everyone understands, who is watching, who might not actually know you. So you were born in Japan.
Yep, born in Japan, and then we all decided to move to New Zealand when I was 7. So then I took up sailing. Dad kind of dragged me along. I actually hated it at first, as you can see in that photo. I really didn't enjoy it. It's probably because we started in winter, and but then we started doing the racing side of things, and that's when I kind of started enjoying it. I'm a pretty competitive person, as most of my friends that are watching right now know. I'm pretty competitive person. So when the racing side of things started happening, that's when I started getting the love of the sport. So there's, I think, a few more smiles other than that photo from after.
Well, that one, as we know, was sent through by someone that you know well, Andrew Brown.
Yeah.
Who sent that little that golden little nugget through. And but Nathan, don't you worry, you don't get off the hook.
I'm sure there's plenty of stuff coming in.
How about that one for you?
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Should have been a later sailor. Hiking.
Well, yeah, no, I thought it was fast to drag the bum in the water because it made me heavier. Wow, that's a blast from the past, isn't it?
That one, yeah. Now, I do believe that this was a shot of you 2 years before you then went on to win the Sabo Nationals.
Yep. So this would have been in my first year sailing one-ups, and yeah, this boat, it was probably the boat I took down to Tasmania to do the nationals in, which I managed to get all first and all seconds, but 2 OCSs. So this boat was called Just Do It, and I tried to do it a bit too much, and the next boat ended up being called Just in Time. But oh, how good is Sabos? Great memories of those boats.
Sabos are fantastic. I sailed Sabos as well. You were sort of New South. I was Northern New South Wales.
Yeah, so was I.
You were Northern New South Wales. What do you still classify as Northern New South Wales?
Anything north of Gosford was Northern New South Wales. And then basically Sydney was Southern New South Wales.
That's right. Yeah, so I raced for the Northern New South Wales team, but again, I was just that little teeny tiny little bit older than you, so our paths didn't really cross in the
Sabos.
Not in the Sabos.
No.
But you then went on to win the Flying 11 Nationals.
I did, yeah. So a year or so later, after that photo, I won the Flying 11 Nationals, actually with Goobs of all people, in Sydney in 2000, and yeah, that was. Flying 11s are great boats too. I really enjoyed that. And the cool thing that they had set up in Australia and New South Wales at the time was that they'd always managed to put the Flying 11 Nationals on about 2 weeks after the Sabo Nationals, so you could do both. So,
but it was also tied in as well with the Manly Junior Nationals as well, remember?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I just remember, you know, it was so cool because you just, at our local sailing club, you'd sail Sabo in the morning, do the racing, you'd pack that up and you'd jump on a Flying 11 and sail that in the afternoon. And I think that was where I started, you know, getting this habit for sailing lots of different boats as often as I could. Whereas most normal people would just pick a boat and just stick to that one boat until they got good at it and then switch. Whereas for some reason, I convinced my dad that I needed to sail not only a Sabo and a Flying 11, but I also wanted to sail Flying Ants when I could. And then I wanted to sail a 29er at the same time. And no wonder he's still very poor.
Yeah, I know sailing does that for you. Len, when you went from the Plastic Optimist, what did you go to then after that?
Then I went into the Fiberglass Optimist. Yeah, and then
big upgrade.
Big upgrade, massive speed gains, you think. And yeah, that was good. I spent probably a little bit too much time in the Opti, I felt. I sailed Optis till I was 14. So maybe, I don't know, if I look back, I'll probably jump out of the Optimist a little bit earlier and get into the 29er stuff. But after Optis, then I sailed P-Class and Starling at the same time while starting to sail 29er as well. So a little bit late into the party, but started sailing 3 boats, which was pretty cool. We did the Tanner Cup in Nelson. That was a windy regatta. And then the Taranto Cup, that was the first day of Taranto Cup that got cancelled ever in Nelson. It was way too windy to run a regatta, so that didn't happen.
Wow.
And from then on, it was the youth program at the Royal Squadron.
Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron.
Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, yeah, with Guy Pilkington.
Well, Guy is watching, so no doubt he might arc up and ask you a couple of questions. But so, I mean, based on that you just heard from Len, Nath, is this another reason why you've moved to New Zealand, so that your son Jack can become an amazing Kiwi sailor?
Well, he's definitely going to be the only person down there with a big AUS on his sail.
Hey, it's kind of frowned upon when you do that here. I did that at the World Masters Games and everyone kept throwing stuff at me, all the Kiwis.
Well, I was doing a bit of sailing down at Narrowneck on the NACRA in the lead up to the Worlds, and talking to all these guys and having chats to all the kids. And then I'd pull up the sail, and man, did I cop a hiding saying, "You got too many stars, and why aren't they red?" And I was like, oh, Kiwis, they just love the banter, don't they?
They so love the band. And don't worry, I've been here coming up 9 years in October. It doesn't get any easier, trust me.
Yeah, well, the difficult thing for me right now is that Jack has a Kiwi passport because he was born here last year. And Em organised the passport because we needed to, travel quite a lot last year. Obviously won't travel much this year by the looks of it. But she said if he wants an Australian passport, it's up to me to organise that. And I'm not very good with paperwork and administration. So that's probably not going to happen for a while.
So there you go. Your son's a Kiwi.
Yeah, apparently.
It'd be cool to see Jack Outteridge in the future sailing for New Zealand.
Well, he can probably choose when he gets to that age. All I care about is that I hope he does end up in sailing.
Yeah, that I guess that's every sailor's dream, is for their children to end up in sailing. Hey, your mate Jody Shields has just noticed something, and I've just noticed it too. Nathan, can you just have a look at how you spelt your name on Zoom? Is this a new spelling?
Where?
Can you not see your name?
I just noticed that as well.
Did I spell that? Or did you do that?
No, that's you.
Yeah,
That's not me.
You did that.
Wow. Yeah, no, well, again, imagine if I was filling out Jack's passport and I spelled his name like that. It just wouldn't work, would it? This is why we all get married at some point, so that someone can fix all your mistakes.
Oh my goodness. So let's moving on. Speaking of passports, Len, you don't sound like you're from Japan. You don't have an accent, yet you sail for Japan and you're going to represent Japan in the Olympic Games in the 49er. Tell us your background story. How did why did you decide to sail for Japan?
Background. Well, yeah, as you said, I was born in Japan. I was very privileged to, have the dual citizenship. Like, I'm sure Jack's gonna be thankful one day.
If he can get his name spelled properly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of impressed mine's spelled properly there. A lot of people get it wrong. But no, Japan, no, it was good to, no, by the time I left the squadron and I was looking for a good boat to sail, and I wanted to sail the 49er. And at that point, I wasn't very present in the youth sailing in New Zealand. I didn't do very well on the 29er or anything. So I was kind of just in the middle of deciding what to do next in my career. So I was just, putting the feelers out, see what was going on. And Ibu, he was just coming out of the 420. He got bronze medal at the youth world. So, it was a pretty good yachty, and we kind of just been chatting and said, oh, we're going to try, do a campaign for Japan in the 49er, because, it's pretty unheard of over there. So, it said it'll be something cool challenge to, give it a good crack. And here we are, 4 years later, got the Olympics delayed. So it's now a 5-year Olympic campaign, something new. But no, it was we've been talking about it for a while, and it's probably one of the best decisions I've made. I've learned so much about just 49er sailing, and then Ibu and I have become very good mates. So, and it's given me some really good opportunities like the SailGP and hopefully many more in the future. And that's pretty much what I went through. It's pretty exciting.
It must be pretty cool being able to sail for, your birth country as well in SailGP.
Yeah, it's a huge honor. I've all my family are in Japan. I've still got family in New Zealand as well from my dad's side, but there's a massive group of fans or family in Japan now that they're always just sharing stuff on Facebook, and they just always in my ear telling me what's going on. And Mum's always sending them updates of what I'm doing in lockdown, and it's cool to have that. It's a huge honor, especially when SailGP is so new, and especially having a Japan boat like that is pretty epic with the the design and everything. It's such a cool feeling to be on board, and the fact that we're going to hopefully have a few more Japanese guys and a full Japanese team in the next few years is also an awesome stuff. Something to think about is awesome. So looking
Well,
forward to it.
so Nathan, based on that little comment, what does that mean for you? Because you're not Japanese.
Well, I think what's happening here is that Leo's doing flight school right now, so he can learn a bit more about how to be a pilot or potentially a skipper. So I have a feeling he's trying to squeeze me out of a job.
I think that's what I just heard as well.
And it's interesting because the beginning of this call, we were talking about how much he values his job. And now he's trying to take my job. So I think you've got to maybe take a few steps back there, buddy.
Take a few steps back. I was just looking at what the when I first signed up. That's what I said.
No, well, exactly. The whole point of it is
a short-term plan.
Well, the plan for the team is to keep growing them, as much as we can, getting as much Japanese support. And, my goal at the end of the day is to hand the team over and the boat over to someone like Leo who can drive it and race it at the top level.
I can say that I am nowhere near ready. So,
well, that's what I was going to say. I'm pretty sure if I gave him the wheel right now,
I think we would see the first pants being wet.
Yeah, we would be in all sorts initially, but I reckon you'd pick it up easier than you think, because at the end of the day, everyone in front of you does all the work. It's, no skipper's ever going to admit that, but that's what happens is everyone in front of you does all the work, and you just got to just talk to them and tell them what to do. And eventually you'll realize that what I do at the back's not that difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not impossible. That's for sure.
I reckon, Len, you can do it. Just there's a little bit of confusion on what we're actually calling you, because Nathan, you're saying Leo and I'm saying Len.
Well, if you look at his name, it says Leo Takahashi.
But I know him as Len.
Where do you get Len from?
Leonard.
Yeah. I call him Leo. He's like Leonardo DiCaprio. Look at that hairdo.
Oh, actually, there's been a few comments about your hair. Len, how's the mullet coming along?
Mullet is non-existent at the moment. I've decided to move on from that stage of my life. It was a great haircut. I definitely recommend it to all the younger kids that are watching, all the older people. It was definitely a good look, and it was in, but I'm not sure how it's going to go in 2020. So
yeah, I don't know if it was really that good.
You were just trying to be like Blair, weren't you?
That's right.
That's what they all say, but we all know who did it first.
All right, so who did it first? Was it really you?
Yep, the real ones know that Logan Dunning-Beck was the first.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then
Logan Dunning-Beck started the mullet craze.
I would happily agree to that, and then the 49er squad started filtering it in, and there you go. Then you have the whole 49er fleet running mullets.
How's speaking of mullets, Nathan? You're covering yours up. How's your mullet going?
Well, I can grow a mullet, because all you need for a mullet is hair at the back of your head.
Yeah.
As for what's on top, that's why I've got my beanie on, because I've got my Ugg boots on and my beanie on, because the extremities of my body get quite cold these days.
Well, the thing, since I had a mullet, someone had to take the negative. I had to redo it. So Nate's gone for the aerodynamic approach, just because I had to run the mullet.
Yeah.
So he's taking one for the team.
Right, moving right along. Another question's from Mark Orams, and this one's probably more related to you, Nathan. Australia is such a great sailing nation with great sailors and a proud history in the sport. Why has it not managed to put together an America's Cup campaign in nearly 20 years? What's going on?
It's a very good question. It's also a very serious question. And I think the very simple answer is that although Australia is a much bigger country in New Zealand when it comes to its numbers and probably its GDP, there's no real one individual who's there to put it on the line to say we need to make this happen. Back in the day there was Alan Bond, who really chased the America's Cup, and then eventually when he won it, it was an amazing thing. It was before I was born. It was before Leo was born. And even the defense in was it 87, I think it was. Australia had so many potential defenders in their series, but the moment they lost, the interest died down very quickly. And the last time there was an Australian team was here in New Zealand. I think it was a 2000 one with the Young Australia that Sid Fisher was running and Jimmy Spittle was involved in. I think since then that the Cup's become quite a bit more professional. It became a bit more international. And so all the good Australian sailors started getting snapped up by other teams. And, there's been attempts along the way to get an Australian America's Cup team together. But I don't know, sailing in Australia doesn't seem to have the same passion as what it does here in New Zealand. Everyone in New Zealand knows sailing in the America's Cup. And I couldn't believe that when I first moved here a couple of years ago, we would just go down to a cafe and someone would be having a yarn to me and I'd just be having a chat to them. And Em's like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. They just want to talk about sailing." She's like, "It's because they recognize you." And I'm like, "Really?" Whereas in Australia, that just doesn't happen at all. So I think until that happens in Australia, we're probably not going to get another Cup team. But to be honest, you're probably going to need a winning America's Cup team for that to even happen in Australia. So Australians just think of sailing as the Sydney to Hobart. If you haven't done a Sydney to Hobart, then you're not technically a proper sailor. So that means I'm not really a sailor at all in most people's eyes in Australia.
So that's why you moved to New Zealand, to get recognised as a sailor?
Sure. Yeah, we'll run with that.
Come on, I've got to give those that. I was hounded constantly when I moved to New Zealand. So there you go.
I'm good for it. Don't worry.
So, I mean, just speaking about, representing countries and countries being involved in the sport, Len, for you and what you've noticed is having a Japanese SailGP team, has that lifted the sport in that country?
It's a hard one. That's what our aim is at the moment, is we're trying to increase a lot of exposure in Japan so people learn more about what sailing really is. But Japan is a whole different culture, and I think they're still working on it right now. But in the background here, while Corona's still going on, we're trying to work on things to make sailing bigger and get SailGP heard of in the country. So that's what's going on in the background at the moment. What I've learned is sailing is just unheard of, and it's not like New Zealand and Australia where some people have done a bit of sailing in their lives in the coast. It's just unheard of, and so we have a big task ahead of us, but that's part of the challenge, and it's great because it's such a new thing to do. And so that's part of what Ibu and I kind of believe in, is we try to inspire all the little kids that are sailing. Every time we're in Inoshima and all the little kids are out and they're little optimists, we try to say hi and keep going at it, because you can sail faster boats like the 49er and NACRA. So it's a new challenge, and that's what we're all excited. I'm sure Nathan can tell you more about, what the SailGP is happening in Japan. Hopefully we'll have to do an event that'll, actually show people what SailGP is actually about, and people love it. So, fingers crossed, just keep working on it.
So speaking about opportunities and stuff as well, Len, you've been shortlisted for the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron's Youth America's Cup team. Nathan, could you imagine what it would have been like if we had opportunities like that at his age?
Well, he's already done it once before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
In Bermuda. So he's just takes it for granted, I think. But, I think what the America's Cup's doing and what SailGP are doing with the creating some pathways into the sport is fantastic. When I was a young sailor and you were a young sailor, we were just sailing our little dinghies for fun. And there wasn't really much professional sailing in the 90s. And around 2000 is when it started to change. But again, the America's Cup was happening in Auckland, 2000, 2003. And I just looked at it as a young kid and just thought, well, there's no way I'm ever going to get involved in that. Like, how is a little kid from Wanji going to, be one of the best sailors in the world? What's the pathway? What's the avenue? And so I went down the pathway of Olympic sailing because that seemed a bit easier, smaller boat, smaller budget, control your own sort of sailing. And then all of a sudden the America's Cup went from those massive keel boats into foiling catamarans. And that was my avenue in. And so for most people who were trying to get involved in the Cup before, I guess they went down the match racing path and did the match racing circuit. And right around, that 2010, that was when it did the big switch. And so lots of people, lost that pathway. So it's great that they've been able to try and create a little bit of a pathway with the Inspire program for SailGP and the Youth America's Cup. And man, imagine being under 25 and being given the opportunity to sail on the boats that they get to sail on. I think it's unreal.
I know, it's pretty good. Len, do you realize how lucky you are?
Sure. That's why I try to make the most of it. That's the plan. It's good.
And so how old are you now?
I'm 21 currently. Just turned 21 in December.
Just a wee grasshopper. So much to come.
That's the one.
No fear. It's great. We love it.
Fear the deer.
Love that. Awesome. So, I mean, out of all of the boats that you've sailed, Nathan, you recently were doing a NACRA 17 campaign as well. But out of all of the boats that you guys have sailed, what's the most exciting? And you're not allowed to say SailGP. And Nathan, you're not allowed to say America's Cup boats. So forgetting those boats, what's the most exciting?
I quite enjoyed my Sabo back in the day. That was good.
Sabo days were pretty good, I'll have to admit.
No, I think for me, it's obviously hard to go past the SailGP America's Cup just because of the technology and design. But I really enjoyed my time in the Moth class, not saying my time is over, but I remember the first time I ever sailed a Moth was 2007. It was the year before the Olympics in China. And they'd just gone hydrofoiling and the control system kind of didn't work. And a lot of the things on it didn't work, but they just come back from the Worlds in Garda, and Rowan Veal and Scotty Babbage were up on Lake Macquarie, and they said, "Oh, take it for a spin." And I just jumped on and just thought, this is the coolest thing that I've ever been on. And so the moment the Olympics was over, I got in touch with them and said, how do I get a boat? And was lucky enough to get on the Blade Rider program and sail the Blade Rider for a good year. And then eventually got into a Mac 2. And I've just loved the freedom that boat gives you and the technical aspect of it. You have to not only be a really good sailor and good at boat handling, but also good at, maintaining and improving the boat. And I think the skills that I learned in that class, put me in really good shape for the Olympics, because the Moth goes a lot faster than a 49er. So your decision-making has to happen so much quicker, but also it was really useful for a lot of SailGP stuff and America's Cup.
Sounds like you're trying to sell me a boat, Nate. Your boat.
Well, as I was saying, I have a boat. It's sitting in the box. It's in great condition. Last time used, it won the Australian Nationals against the current world champion, Tom Slingsby. So, I could, deliver it to you once we get out of lockdown for a good price.
I think we're going to cut a deal right now, aren't we?
Like, you can keep your job with the team, and I'll just take it out of your pay if you want.
I don't have enough money. I might need a bit of a raise just for a few months so I can.
Well, you'll probably pay it off over 2 or 3 years, I guess. That's how I sold Gooby his first Moth. We when we started sailing 49ers, I was on funding after China. I'll keep the story short. And he and I started sailing together, and he didn't get any funding from AST. So I funded it with my funding for the first year and said to him, don't worry, when we get the results, the funding that you'll get from that, you can slowly pay me back over the quad. And so I was slowly getting, the campaign costs back in the second year of the campaign. And then I wanted to buy a new Moth, and he wanted a Moth. So I sold him my Moth and just kept, saying, I'll keep getting the money back from AST, and eventually, we'll be all square here. So, we don't need to have cash exchange hands if you don't want to. We can find other ways to get this boat in your possession.
Ways. Maybe come with a bit of coaching sessions from you.
Well, that's going to take longer to pay it off, but sure.
Exactly.
So there's just a little bit of confusion here. I'm just going to clear this thing up for a couple of people. I don't know if this is people just taking the mickey, but we'll clear this up. So Len, born in Japan, lives in New Zealand, sailing for Japan and the 49er at the Olympics, and sailing for New Zealand potentially in the youth AC. Nathan, an Australian living in New Zealand, sailing for Japan in the SailGP. Sue Ellen, Australian living in New Zealand, not sailing for anybody in the SailGP. So let's move on from that.
Well, the point is it's a global world. Well, maybe it was a global world and it's not so much a global world anymore.
No, and now you're stuck in New Zealand for quite some time because our borders are going to be closed for a considerable amount of time, Nathan. So I don't think going back to Wanji anytime soon.
It doesn't seem that way, but at least it seems like it's probably the safest country in the entire world right now. So I'm not too concerned about that. So long as the borders get opened up in the next year or so, that'll be okay.
Because right now, where are you two meant to be?
Right here.
San Francisco. Yeah. We have, the schedule had us first day on the water on Friday. So we would be there doing briefings and talking about all the things we did wrong in Sydney.
And do you have a list of things that you did wrong in Sydney?
I've got a few things that I could have done better, that's for sure.
So what's the one thing that you could have done better then?
We could have maybe started behind the line a couple of times. We were over on more than half the starts.
And what could have Len done better?
Or he could have flown the boat higher, more accurately, and kept it in the air every single maneuver. You can always do something better, right?
Always do something better. I agree with those things, Nath. I agree. And I agree with the starts as well.
There was a good one. There was like one we were like quite a few seconds early and everyone's like, what's the plan? And I'm like,
there is no plan.
We're just going to go and then we're going to wait and then we're going to go again.
Hey, let's just try and play this little video. This one is a little action that you had with against the USA team. Let's play this one.
Oh, this is good action.
Oh, that's a goodie.
It does not matter.
Is it still not playing the right video? Oh no, now we're doing stretching. I don't know what is going on with this, but it keeps playing the wrong video. So that's just some stretching that happens on board in the middle of races, right?
Right. Well, all I can see is a frozen shot of USA trying to roll.
Oh no, hang on a second. Hang on. I know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on here. Here we go.
Gotta press the play button.
There you go. Nice.
Good mode, working it down. Okay, faster mode here, little up.
This is where Aiden was down.
Hey! Holy shit! Protest it! Protest that! Go boys on the wing, go on the wing! Working it away hard! As hard as we can. Go guys, go! Working it away, wing on! Working it down. Standing by glide, board down. My rank below it, not jiving. 2, 1, mate. Long glide here. Okay, coming up. You're right, Nate. Board up. My rank now. Finish? Yep, straight here. Settle it down, well sailed there. Nice one, boys. Okay, board going down for attack. My wing, long glide. 2, 1, mate. Nice race, fellas. Good chipping away. Aiden, that was awesome, mate. You're all good? You're a bit quiet, Aids.
Yeah.
That was sick.
That was.
Yeah, I thought it.
Yeah, regardless, radio, television interview, please.
And then no penalties. Yeah.
Thank you, regardless.
How's the boat? Is it all good? Yeah, well, it's just a little tap on it. We'll get Chase boat alongside.
It's a little tap.
Well, that was from a pre-start incident with the Danish. Yeah, we had a rudder hit their bow and lost all the paint and carbon off the joint between the stainless and the carbon.
So how are the blood pressures during maneuvers like that?
So I've just got so much on. That's what you call a full baptism of fire. When Nate's yelling it, That's me. That's me to protest.
Yeah.
You can see that I'm holding flight control this with both hands, and the protest button is to my left. So I have to take one hand off, which means I'm probably not flying the boat is probably the best I could to push this big red button, which I have to feel for it because I'm not quite used to it yet. And so that's why Nate's telling me to protest it. It's all on.
Nate, you seemed quite chilled out in that, and then obviously when you cross the line, you finish, you're like, whoa, holy heck.
I was the one basically riding the boys through that moment because I didn't want to get past. Like, no one wants to get passed by anyone, and we jibed in a really strong position relative to the Americans, and it was a bit of a tight reach, so you got to like pace the boat up to the bottom mark. And I just couldn't for the life of me work out why are they going faster than us? Like, what is going on? And I was, so used to obviously having Parko and Goobs who were just fully locked into their roles that I'd just be able to laugh and spin the boat and it'd be fine. And then I thought about it afterwards and thought that was actually really full on for Aiden and Leo who hadn't done that before. And we had a really brutal windward hull touchdown at one point, doing, plus 40, like probably 45 knots. And it wasn't until the race was over that I realized that Aiden's goggles had come off his face, taken his microphone out and were around his neck. And he literally couldn't see anything for that entire time for 30 seconds into the bottom mark. So when Leo's like, oh, Aiden, you were pretty quiet there. He just looked and just pointed. He's just like, yeah, and like, no shit. Like his helmet almost got blown off as well. So
speaking,
it's quite intense at times.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, we talked about it a little bit earlier on about what it feels like to go that, to go at those speeds. And Len, you described, drive down the motorway during the rain, stick your head out the window. Obviously, we wouldn't recommend anyone actually doing that unless someone else is driving, and actually just don't do that at all. But let's just watch this little video. This is the, when you guys were out trying to get to 50 knots. Because I think the Australians had got to 50 knots.
This was in the UK last year, yeah.
Yeah, let's
the British did it first and then the Aussies and then we followed afterwards.
All right, let's see this one.
So we're at Cows and they've allowed us to get an extra day training in. I think the weather looks pretty average for Friday and we've been here for almost a week now just waiting for our turn to go sailing. Yeah, so yesterday the British clocked over 50 knots, the first racing sailboat to ever do more than 50 knots. Everyone in this fleet has the capability of going that kind of speed. You just got to get out there in the right conditions.
Doing the walkout.
Forecast today looks, to be about 20-25 knots. You can see the Aussies are heading out in the background, so we've got to hurry up and get out there because I think everyone wants to be the second team to do 50 knots and it could be a good fun day for it. It looks like going to have a lot of flood in the current, so it's going to be super flat water, so conditions are right for a top speed today.
Who knows? Hopefully I'll call 50.7.
I reckon we can join the 51 knot club. What do you reckon, Yuki?
I would say 50.3.
50.75.
I'll give it 50.1.
Yeah, so everyone's having a bit of a guess at the moment on top speed for the day. We just heard over the comms that the Aussies did 50 and a half down the channel, just trying to get out there. So I think our challenge is to try and do 52 down the channel.
I think we can go out there and do what we've got to do and bring it back not broken. That'd be quite nice.
Next time's the fairway, boys. I'll take Greg, you do I got runners standing by here. Yep. 2, 1, here we go. Come on, see you guys. Go! Go hard. Nice, boys. Nice one. Come on, Ray. Yours.
Good day out here today in the Solent. Breeze on.
and we've just broken the 50 knot barrier, which is good news, along with a couple of other boats. So we've just had 50.3 knots. I think the Aussies may have got 52 knots. GBR guys, got 50 yesterday. So the boats are going quicker, and yeah, it's exciting stuff. You've got to keep them up the right way, and it's all good.
かなりスピードが出る状況ですと、もちろんその船のコントロールっていうのは難しいんですけど、グラインダーの僕たちにとってはかなり体力的にもきついところなので、僕らが体力的にどこまでいけるかっていうのが今回のカウズの勝敗のポイントになると思います。
As a kid, I used to think 25 knots was fast. You'd watch some of the fastest boats that are around in the 90s, and the 18 footers and stuff would touch on 25 here or there. Just never could have imagined sailing boats that go this fast. So very lucky to be involved in the sport at this kind of era, and I think what SailGP here are doing is just pushing the boundaries of what's capable in racing boats. And
そうですね、かなり、50ノットで走ったことないんで、ソフトバンクチームジャパンの時には48ノットぐらい出したんですけど、今回その50ノット超えられたということで、僕の中でのスピード記録です。
Not bad, eh?
That was a good day.
You didn't get
my heart's still pounding just remembering that day. It was so much fun.
So, but you didn't get to the 52 you wanted. Someone else did.
No, well, right after I said that, Emmett turns around and just goes, just go out there, do your stuff and bring it back not broken. And I was like, okay, boss. All right. We won't push it too hard. And it turns out you don't actually have to push it that hard to go that quick.
We've just had a 10-year-old ask a question now. I know we talked about this earlier, but let's just give this to Liam, who's 10. He just wants to know really quickly at what age you both started sailing and your best sailing memory to date.
All right, youngest first.
Best sailing memory to date. I started sailing when I was 8 years old, and my best sailing memory would be probably qualifying for the Olympics this year. Is probably my best memory after a lot of the roller coasters we had in the last 4 years. It was good to finally tick off that box. So that's probably my best memory.
Cool. You, Nathan?
I started probably sailing when I was about 4. I was sailing at a younger age, but you're a toddler, so that doesn't really count. But at 4 years old, I got a Manly Junior from my dad, and he used to take me out sailing in that boat. I liked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so the boat was called Turtle Power. And it was a 30-year-old Manly Junior at the time when I bought it. So if it's still floating around, it'd be very old now. And probably, my most fond sailing memory was winning the gold medal in London. Doing that with a really good mate in Goobs and being a part of that Australian Olympic team. Tom Slingsby won a gold medal same day we did, and the 470s did, and the girls got the silver medal in the match racing. It was a really cool time, and loved every minute sailing in Weymouth, which I don't think many people would ever say.
No.
Did you go to the McDonald's match in the Olympic Village? Is that a recommendation?
Oh, absolutely. Back before I was a vegan, I was frequenting McDonald's in the village. That was the first place you go to and the last place you go to in the Olympic Village. It's obviously very healthy food. It's good athlete food.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hang on, Nathan. So you're a vegan?
Correct. Yes.
Oh no. Here we go.
Right. No.
Don't ask him about it. He'll try to kill
and it's not because of lockdown. It's been for a number of years now. And
what was your decision to go vegan?
Mostly health reasons. Did a lot of research. I could bang on it for ages, but I'm not going to bore anyone. But it works for me, and it works for our family, and yeah, it's good. It's actually been quite useful because we're now in lockdown. We've been growing lots of our own vegetables out the back. It's amazing. I thought that the whole world was going to collapse and we had to provide for ourselves. So I took it on myself to build all these veggie gardens and planted all this food. And it turns out that New World and Countdown still works. So that's great. Because all we're growing is lettuce.
Nice one. Hey, Len, like you said, obviously getting that selection to represent Japan at the next Olympic Games, which is now going to be in 2021. But it was a bit of a bit of a tough time leading up to that, wasn't it? It's let's just have a look at that.
Oh, lovely. There you go. It's my best mate, Oscar Gunn, checking in on me after in the hospital.
So now this was during the Oceania Championship at Royal Akarana Yacht Club before Christmas and before the Worlds. Just explain to us how you ended up in this situation and what happened.
What happened? The Lemon, myself, we were pushing hard. We were about 18th, not where we want to be at the top mark, and we're coming in on Port Leyline, which is something I don't do much anymore because of the accident. But we're coming on Port Leyline on the upwind, and another boat that had already rounded the top mark and was already coming downwind didn't see us, and their wing on the 49er collided with my ribs, and from there I broke 2 ribs on my back and had a kidney contusion, hematoma. So pretty serious, and got taken straight to the ER and spent a few nights in hospital. So, and then that means that I missed out on the 49er Worlds in New Zealand. It was probably the one regatta I was looking forward to for about 2 years since they announced it, and it also meant that I couldn't get selected for the Olympics then at those selections, and we missed out on making most of our points that we had accumulated over the selection period. So it was quite a tough few months. It was hard to do, and then obviously we couldn't do much sailing after that because I was trying to recover. So it was very stressful trying to qualify in Geelong, but we got it done. So that's probably why getting selected in Geelong was probably the best memory to date, because it's, when you know that you've been through struggles and you put in the work and you get it, it's nice. But from now on, we've still got a long way to go to get to the top podium like where Naif's been. But a few more hours, like Naif said, and we might be able.
Well, you got another year now too, so that's good.
Exactly.
You just got to get back on the water at some point.
Should be able to.
Do you see getting? I mean, obviously with the delay, I mean, it does affect everybody in different ways. But do you see getting an extra year to work in your favour?
It's gonna be, yeah, for sure. For Ibu and I, our results have been really, our curve has been exponential. We've been, the first 49er Worlds we did, we made the gold fleet. So that was massive for us, and it was a big confidence booster. So from then on, we've been plateauing a little bit, but from the Geelong Worlds, we've got a lot of low-hanging fruit that we can work on, and now we've got a whole year to do it. I think we're going to make some huge progress if we can get out on the water out of this lockdown.
We'll get out there soon. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So I mean, Nathan, for you, I mean, look, pass on a little bit of knowledge to this youngster over here. What does it take, apart from being vegan and just going sailing, what does it take to be a medalist at the Olympics?
Well, I'll start off. I haven't won a whole lot since I became vegan, so maybe that's been a career-ending move there. But in all seriousness, I think where Leo's at now is that he's got the ticket. He's done the first part of the job, is get a result worthy of being selected. He's been gifted an extra year now of time to develop. And if you were one of the top teams right now, you'd be hating it, because all it means is everyone else is going to have time to catch up. So, mate, you're in a pretty good country right now, because you'll probably get back out on the water soon. I know that Ibu, lives in Auckland as well. There's a good 49er squad here in New Zealand, so you'll be able to work with them. You won't be sailing around on your own, at least. And you've really just got to look at your overall program. Where are the holes? Where is the low-hanging fruit? Go and attack that first. You're not going to get any international racing, unfortunately, probably this year. You're going to be domestic only. I don't see there being any big events on the European calendar opening up. So get your boating sorted, work on your equipment, and get ready for an intense sort of final run-up when they allow international competition next year. And I'd be just going and pestering Pete and Blair as much as you can, and Logan and all the great sailors that are operating here in Auckland. And
we already do, don't worry.
I know you do. I know.
I'm up in their grill 24/7.
Yep. No, exactly. And I guess, from, what I can sort of say and offer is that, you've been, gifted this extra year. Just go and make the most of it. Keep pushing your time on the water as much as you can. Don't worry about the gym too much. You're pretty big already. You don't need to be that strong to steer a 49er. Send Ibu to the gym and you can do the boat work.
Yeah. Good compromise.
Yeah.
I love that advice.
That's what I did with Haley a lot. Haley was in the gym a lot and I was like, don't worry, I'll make sure the boat is functional.
Not a grind anymore as well. So
yeah, exactly.
So you've just completely avoided the gym at all costs, Nathan. This is the theme I'm hearing throughout this entire chat tonight.
Well, don't get me wrong. I do classify myself as an athlete. I just am an athlete that doesn't like going to the gym. I only go there if someone drags me by my ear. Ask the guys in Artemis Racing. I attended the gym every morning with a cup of coffee. And I'd sit on the exercise bike and flick through my emails and read some notes about what the plan was for the day. Yes, staying fit and healthy is important, but I tell you what, if I was the fittest person in that sailing team, that was not going to do us very well. I needed to be thinking about the sailing side of stuff. And I even did a deal with our trainer there that if I went moth sailing in the morning while the other guys were at the gym, and my heart rate stayed above a certain average heart rate, is that going to be okay? And I think he just signed it off because he knew that that's what I wanted to do. And Ian Percy just said, just let him go and play. And I ended up dragging Bruni and Goody and Goobs out with me quite a lot. So it was quite
oh,
cool. Again, I'm not knocking the gym. Yes, kids, go to the gym, do what you want. But man, sailing is, there's a lot of skills that you got to develop on the water too.
There you go.
And hence why I'm going a bit nuts in this lockdown. It's been driving me batty. Ask my wife. She's just like, on Tuesday, just go for your life. Get out on a windsurf or a paddleboard and come back a few hours later and get it out of your system.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed that we're only in alert level 3 for 2 weeks, and then fingers crossed we can go down to level 2, which is when we're hearing that we could potentially be able to go sailing again. So I don't know about you guys, but a few of us are marking Saturday the 16th of May in our diary to, fingers crossed, hopefully be able to go sailing.
I'll tell you what, I hope it doesn't get any colder than what it already is here.
It will.
It will.
This is my first winter in 15 years. And winter in New Zealand, I think, is very different to winter in Australia.
Yeah. 100%. Winter in New Zealand is freezing. I mean, I'm from northern New South Wales and Queensland, and winter in New Zealand and my first year here, holy shivers, I was just cold every day. My fingers
were cold. Like December here is cold.
Well, yeah, I mean, it gets warm though in February.
For a couple of weeks. Anyway, we can talk about the weather forever.
We could. Nathan, you need to get yourself out there and do some winter sailing. There's going to be plenty on, because I know we're all itching to get back out in the water.
I'm sure you'll see me down at Narranac.
Oh, yeah, we'll see you. Awesome. Hey, guys, oh, hang on.
What do we got?
Oh, that's just so cool. We've just had Liam, who has said that this has been awesome. And, yeah, he said it's been awesome.
Other Facebook questions. Are there any good Facebook questions?
We've had a few. There's just a lot of general banter going on. Lots of people asking about your haircut.
Shout out to the boys that are watching.
Yeah, so you've got all your mates watching. So there you go. We could sit here and
I got a question for Leo.
Oh no.
What are you going to go around next quad? Are you going to do another Olympics after Tokyo?
Haven't decided yet.
And if so, what class?
What class?
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd have to keep saying the 49. It depends on the next year, I think, with the Youth America's Cup and the Olympics, and I'm pretty motivated to do the next quad. I like Marseille. I went there for the Junior Worlds last year, and it was bloody windy, and I enjoyed every minute, every race. So if it's going to be like that for the next quad, it'll be fun.
I enjoyed Marseille too, right up until the point we messed that jibe up.
I didn't want to mention Marseille, but now you do. We can talk about it. What happened there, Nate?
Well, now you're a flight controller. You understand how difficult it is to get it on the lock and the timing and that. But it was definitely a moment. If we could go back in time, we would definitely drop the dagger board slightly earlier and turn the boat just that little bit sooner, and we probably would be having still nice memories and parties celebrating a win, but not to be.
Oh, yeah.
Is that one in the notebook of things you can do better?
Yeah, no. My notebook of things I could have done better in my life is very long, and I think there'll never be a day that goes by where you're like, no, that was pretty much spot on. I did everything perfectly. Because the moment you think that, someone's going to smack you across the head and say, "You idiot!" There is
Slingsby.
Yeah. That's why we have coaches to remind us that we're nowhere near as good as we think we are.
We've been $1 million richer. That's the thing.
What was that, Len?
Would have been $1 million richer.
Very true. Hey guys, look, gosh, we've gone on for quite some time now. I think this has been the longest interview that we've had.
Clearly, we have lots to say, or we're just quite bored.
It's really nice just having a bit of a chit chat and banter, in my bubble of one where I am. This is like my social activity.
Yeah. I reckon it would be bloody tough being a bubble of one at the moment.
It's been interesting. I'll give you that, but luckily I can see the water and I can see boats, and doing these live chit chats has been keeping me busy, and there's plenty of other stuff to go on with just to try to, keep sailing alive while we're in lockdown.
Yeah, no, well, hopefully it doesn't last much longer and we're all back out there soon.
Don't worry, Nathan. We're going to get you. We're going to get you sailing in some more traditional boats, I think, whilst you're here in New Zealand. And there's a spot coming up on a classic M class, which I think you'll do quite well in. So,
are these things that are in the water?
Yeah, they're actually boats that sail on the water. Yeah, and they're made of wood.
I've yet to take Nathan out on the Elliott Sevens match racing with us. That's my next step.
So Nathan, if now that you are living in New Zealand, you're going to come up to another summer here. Monday nights you can do Stewart 34 racing. Tuesday nights you can race Etchells. Wednesday night you can do Wednesday night racing. Thursday night, there's always some racing happening on it. Oh no, Thursdays is Young 88s. Friday is rum racing. Saturday is more keelboat racing, and Sunday is a club day. So, you need to get involved.
That requires me going across the bridge though, doesn't it?
You know what? It's not that bad, and I'm sure you can manage just like everybody else.
I'm sure it's pretty easy to do at the moment.
Yeah. Catch the ferry, Nate.
I'll definitely come out for a sail with you at some point. Don't you worry about that.
I reckon that'll be good. We've got a few races coming up, and I think getting you back into some traditional old school sailing it'll be good for you. Good for
I'll get exposed. I'm going to be exposed.
I'll put you on main sheet, see how you go. It requires a little bit of fitness. I'm not sure if you'll be up for it. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to chat tonight. It's been really cool, and just a bit of banter and a bit of fun.
No, thanks for having us.
That's all right. Hey guys, best of luck with the rest of lockdown, and getting back out there as soon as we can. And Len, good luck with your Olympic campaign. Stay out of trouble. Get a haircut. You'll be faster. And Nath, good luck with all the stuff that you've got coming up. And I would just sort of watch you back a little bit with this guy who's trying to take your job.
It's all right. If he can drive it around the course as quick as I can, he can have the job.
Get back on the simulator.
As I say, go to the simulator and see how you go. I'm not going to challenge you to a VR race because I'm sure you'll beat me at that.
Will you beat him at that, Len?
Oh yeah, beat him multiple times.
He did get disqualified from the recent SailGP pop-up one though.
Yeah, that was very poor by me.
Something about a bad internet connection, I think.
I've been doing a bit of racing with Guy Pilkington's son. He beat me 3 times last night. So it's
which one, George or Tom?
Tom.
He is just addicted. He loves it.
He is. He's good.
So we could just like go on and on and on and probably talk till midnight, but I'm sure that our viewers probably want this wrapped up now as well.
Yeah, they're just like, will you guys shut up and go to bed?
I know. Well, it's been really great. We've had people watching from around the world, and it's been really cool chatting with you guys. We'll see you out on the water here in New Zealand real soon. Can't wait. And just before we go, really quickly, just a massive shout out to the Live Sail Die supporters. Brandit.kiwi, Hyundai New Zealand, Busfield Marine Brokers, Yacht Share, Doyle Sales, and the Royal Akarana Yacht Club. You know, these are the companies that are helping us keep going whilst we're in lockdown. So a massive shout out to those guys. Anyone that you'd like to thank, guys?
Thanks to my parents for looking after me during lockdown.
We didn't get to talk about your dog, your new dog.
Oh, I'm a doggy.
Do you have a dog?
Yeah, I got a new puppy for lockdown. Well, not for lockdown, for life, but
I was going to say, I hope it's not just a lot. Where is it?
he's sleeping. I took him for a big walk this afternoon. So
I mean, gosh, you've mentioned him now. We need to see him.
Follow his Instagram. I made an Instagram.
You have a photo that you could use as your background or something of your precious puppy dog?
But I made an Instagram for him, so if you can follow his progress.
Oh my gosh, are you going to tell us what you? That's.
Oh, why is it vertical? But that's him. That's Togo.
Very cute.
Togo is very adorable. What kind of dog is Togo?
He's a husky.
Nice.
So look, you're already trying to replace me.
Yeah, I know. Do that. We talked about this before you came online, Nathan. And it's perfect.
No, he's a husky. He's probably gonna run away from me at some point when he smells a sheep or something. So keep a leash on him.
Nice one. So we do have some more chats coming up as well. We're just confirming a time and date, but we've got the Honda Marine 18-foot skiff team of Dave McDiamond, Matt Stephen, and Brad Collins chatting about their back-to-back JJ Giltonen wins. And we've also got the team from Rantan 2, a boat that was unfortunately lost on its way to America. So we're going to have a chat with those guys as well about how that all unfolded. So once we've got those dates and times confirmed, we'll share that with everybody. But in the meantime, Nath Outteridge, Leonard Takahashi, guys, thank you so much. And it's been great chatting with you, and we'll catch up for a sail and a beer in the future.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Just stay on the line, guys, while I cut this off, and we'll see everybody next time. Bye.
Bye. Ciao. Sayonara.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Good work. Catch you later.
Sure, bro.
You're not Kiwi yet, Nathan.
Isn't that what Kiwis say?
Yeah, but you can just shh.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.